16, 2019, beginning at 12 p.m. in the boardroom administration building of the McAllen Independent School District, 2000 North 23rd Street, McAllen, Texas. At this meeting, there will be discussion and actions by the board on the items and subjects listed below. Items listed on this agenda may be taken in order other than as shown on the agenda. We're going to go to item 2, and we're going to recess to closed session. Board of Trustees may go into closed session pursuant to section code 551.071, 551.072, 551.074 of the Texas Government Code to discuss the following. 2A, human resource recommendations for school year 2019-2020, human resource employee resignations for 2018-2019, human resource employee resignations again for 2019-2020, pending or potential litigation, and possible real estate acquisitions. At 12:03, we are now in closed session. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Go to item 3B, Human Resource Employee Resignations for School Year 2018-2019. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Human Resources is submitting a list of resignations for the 2018-2019 school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session, and this item is for information purposes only.
Any discussion? Okay. Go to item 3C, Human Resource Employment Resignations for School Year 2019-2020. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. Human Resources is submitting a list of resignations for the 2019-2020 school year under separate cover for discussion during closed session, and this item is for information purposes only.
Any discussion? Thank you, Board. We go to 3D, Pending or Potential Litigation.
No action needed.
3E, Possible Real Estate Acquisition.
None that I know of.
With that in mind, we'll go to 4, Approval and Update of Board Policy. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The district offers numerous opportunities for students to participate in extracurricular programs and events, to include UIL programs and events. Current practices allow non-McAllen ISD enrolled students to participate in extracurricular programs and events. Administration is recommending these policies change to maximize extracurricular opportunities for students enrolled within McAllen ISD, and administration is recommending action on this item.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
I'm sorry,
Yes,
just real quick. I know there was some outreach done to some of those students that were affected. My understanding, some did decide to come with our district, or they're still thinking about it. Do you have an update on that?
At this point, in talking to Coach Paula, we don't have anything formally in writing, but we do have some parents that have made some verbal commitments to us, so we don't have anybody that has made the official decision, but we are going to work with our strategic outreach team so that we can make sure that we do our best efforts to give them an opportunity to join our district.
The main thing for me is that they're outreach, they got the information, and so they're able to make a decision. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yes, sir.
we have a happy trustee. We have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Go to item 5, approval of job description for Director for Professional Development and Literacy. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Administration reviews all positions to maximize operational efficiencies, and student literacy drives student learning and progress. The district needs to ensure alignment and a sequence of progression throughout all early childhood through 12 grade levels. A restructure of the current Director of Professional Development and Grants to Director of Professional Development and Literacy will allow not only this alignment, but also professional learning needed to achieve student success and to continue on this path of excellence that our district is on. And administration is recommending action on this item.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have a little bit of discussion.
Sure.
One of the things in the curriculum audit that came up was policy DMD that was not up to date, and that has to do strictly with professional development. I'm just wondering if is it prudent to do this, the job description, before we do the DMD local policy? Just something that was on my mind. And then number two, you have the title and literacy in there, and when you say literacy, to me that means someone that has a master's in library science. And I'm just wondering why we combine one job, the Director of Professional Development, with another job, Director of Literacy and Libraries. I don't see anything in the job description that you have to have a master's in library science. And so I was just wondering, why are we combining the two jobs? Why shouldn't it be just one Director of Professional Development and somebody else in charge of the literacy?
Okay, the literacy is library science or library services falls in another category, even though it does center around reading. This is in particular the TEKS of ELA, of English Language Arts, which is separate and apart from library. Library comes in as a support to obviously encourage students to read, to support literacy. However, this particular director is going to be in charge of the K through 12 ELA, English Language Arts, under the literacy umbrella. So the focus is literacy under English Language Arts.
So it's not like a reading grant? It's not like you?
No.
Okay, that's why I was,
Yes,
that's,
yes.
okay, I thought if it's. in
The
charge of
library
it.
services falls under instructional technology, which is Ms. Van Vega.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
I don't know, we want to wait for Mr. Alvarado. We have a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Well, you're back. You made the motion. Okay. Motion passes 5-1. Item 6, approval of continuation of the collection of taxes contract with Hidalgo County Tax Office. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. The district has received services from Hidalgo County Tax Office since September of 1996. The district is recommending renewal of the contract. Administration is recommending action on this item.
Mr. President, before we go forth, I'd like to abstain from this vote.
Okay, we have Mr. Forina abstaining. I have a question. How long is this contract for? If we're approving it, are we approving a 3-year cycle or?
20 year.
This particular, it's a continuation
Okay.
agreement, and unless either party determines that they don't want to continue it, then we have an exit clause on there. But it's continuous. We do bring it to the board on an annual basis for information, and because one of the things the board has always been interested in knowing is when the fees increase.
Right.
The agreement does have a cap of 5%. It hasn't increased since the 2017-18 fiscal year, so it's remaining the same for this particular period. Yes, but it's continuous.
Okay. Do we have,
Question, sir. I mean, you said it hasn't increased, but it increases every year by 5%.
No, sir. It, for the period of beginning 2017 through the 1920 fiscal year, it's remaining at $158,000. The 5% is what's increased. So what we did is we broke it down within the years that it did increase. So if you take the period before, from fiscal year 2014 through fiscal year 2016 and 17, it was $150,000. And then in 2017-18 through today, including today's agreement and contract, it's remaining at $158,000. At that point, they did increase it to their cap of 5%, but it's remained there for these past few years.
Is that an arbitrary 5% increase, or is it built into the agreement?
The 5%, they're allowed
When they
to
do-
go up, they're allowed to go up to 5% as part of the agreement. And that's, so for this particular year, the fee has remained the same at $158,340. And it has remained that way since 2017-18. So this will be the third year that's remaining at that fee.
I have a follow-up question to that. Do other districts have, or other cities have the same type of arrangement with them?
Yes, they do.
So
And
do,
typically, when ours goes up 5%, usually it's across the board type of 5%. But like I said, that hasn't happened for the past 3 years.
Mr. President, I move that we continue the collection of tax contract with the Hidalgo County Tax Office in the amount of $158,340, which is effective July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. And this is the same rate as it was since 2017, 2018.
we have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
do you have a second?
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any further discussion?
I have a question. If we weren't to go with them, then who would do it?
We'd have to either consider any other entity that provides the services. For us, that would either be the city of McAllen provides these type of services. We could go back to having an in-house tax assessor collector like we did many years ago. For the amount of the fee that they're charging us, it's very nominal because we couldn't set up a department for $158,340. So I do believe that the fee is very reasonable for the services they do provide us.
But the answer to your question is we could attach to those entities, governmental entities that do their own tax collection, and it just so happens the city of McAllen
Right,
does.
for us, city,
Yeah.
that they're an option.
Yeah.
It would probably be an option, although I don't believe we've ever approached them. But they-
But if the city of McAllen's already doing it for the exact same group that this is doing, aren't we just doubling the efforts? I mean,
They also provide our assistance when we're preparing our public notice, and since they really work with the school districts in Region 1 and in Hidalgo County. They've been a very good partner for us because of that, because most school districts don't have an in-house tax assessor collector, so they also assist not only McAllen, but the other school districts in the Hidalgo County with their public notices.
It'd be interesting to see how much, if we did this with the city of McAllen, how much they charged. I'd be interested in seeing that.
And yes,
Ms. Richards, have you ever been approached by the city
No.
showing that they even have interest in doing this for us?
yes.
Mr. Alvarado?
Well, just to follow up, there's part of McAllen that's other school districts, Edinburgh, and I think a little bit of Sherryland and a little bit of FAR, so I'm curious how much, they don't collect from them, right? Or, no, I guess they would. I guess they would collect, yeah, they would. Never mind.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Go to item number 7. approval-
5-0, 1 abstention, sir.
I'm sorry, 5-0, 1 abstaining. Go to item number 7, approval of competitive seal proposal 2020/69 with Brown Middle School and Travis Middle School for new surveillance camera system. Dr. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. The camera systems at Dorothea Brown Middle School and William B. Travis Middle School require replacement, and administration is recommending action on this item.
So moved.
We have a motion on the floor,
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion or questions?
I do have,
No, you go first. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr.
all right, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Aliceta. As I was going to the material, I just want to be clear that, in my mind, that the technology or the systems that we're putting in place are equal to or better than the digital technology that we found to exist at Crockett Elementary.
You're back, Mr. Trevino. You've been gone for a while, right?
Yes, sir. The technology is better than what we currently have. Technology department, IT, along with PD, has been involved in the selection of the types of cameras and software systems as well.
So we'd be able to, based on the technology we're using at Crockett, be able to be color, high resolution, and be able to see into the parking lot or identify any individual in clear fashion on any of our monitoring systems, both within the school district and with the city of McAllen.
Correct.
All right, thank you. No other questions?
I have a couple questions. I had emailed Ale Gonzalez earlier today because one of the parameters in the ranking is MISD projects that you get ranked on, and I wanted to know specifically the past or present projects that CALENS or CPSS has done with the school district. I'm sorry, I said cadence, it's not cadence, it's
Cadence?
Calensa.
Which number is it?
It's, yeah, it says list of current or past MISD projects, and I went through everything that I could find, and I couldn't see that we've ever written a check to them anywhere. So I was just wondering what projects they have, current or past, they got that point for.
Purchasing has all the backup information for those questions on the packets that were submitted. We can certainly take a look at that.
I'd like that, because I went through, as everybody knows, you can go on the financial transparency and look at every check ever written.
Correct.
And, I mean, there's nothing ever going back to them, so that I was curious as to that. And then number two, technology, to me, is increasing the price of cameras, the price of all that. I mean, it's just, it's decreasing so fast. It's like computers used to be $1,000, now they're, nothing. Televisions, electronics is decreasing so much, so quickly. And we did this same kind of project a year ago. A year ago, a project of this size was around $240,000. This project is around $400,000. It just seems really overpriced to me.
This is two schools, two middle schools put together.
Yeah.
Each campus, I believe, is coming out to,
No, I'm aware it's two schools. The price I was giving you was two schools that we did also. It was proposal 2018-208 for Kathy and Fossum. we did the exact same thing. It was a total of $244,000. Now, a year later, you're looking at $395,000, when in my mind, it should be a lot cheaper because the price of electronics is dropped dramatically. I just think that it's really inflated. I mean, I just wonder if it would behoove us to go back out again. It just feels like when people are dealing with school districts and municipalities, they inflate. And that seems very inflated to me, that price. But I would like to,
And your concern is because it's inflated compared to Kathy and Fossum?
compared to a year ago, when a year ago's pricing would have been much higher electronic-wise, just components, buying components.
Compared to a year ago, when, and not almost a year ago, but when we went out at first for
2
the
years
bids
ago.
for Travis alone, the bid came in at about $375 for one campus alone. That's the one that I decided to bring back and reject, and we rebidded it out and combined it with another campus after we found out the pricing we got for Kathy and Fossum. So this price is in line with Kathy and Fossum. There's a significant change in the amount of cameras, the quality of cameras, and the software system that we're using now as a district. But IT can explain that better.
But if there's a difference, then the stuff that we got in 2018 that we paid $244,000, it should be able to read as to what Trustee Saldivar was saying, are we using, apples to apples? And if it's apples to apples, this new price seems like it's oranges.
We're using the same system and the same number of cameras. Because of the building configurations, such as Travis.
Right.
Comparing it to Fossum or Kathy, there may be a difference of 1 or 2 cameras per middle school, but PD and IT established
Right.
the number of cameras per campus.
But that's what I'm saying, is if it should be so similar, why is it $100,000 more when the price of electronics has dropped? To me, it should be the same or lower. But when we did Kathy and Fossum, it was $100,000 lower 2 years ago. To me, this price should be equal or lower. That's just my concern.
Okay.
And I still would like to know what MISD project,
And I'll get that information to you.
okay.
Just a question to follow up. How much were Kathy and Fossum?
Kathy and Fossum, I believe it's in the
244.
$395 for
Well,
both, somewhere in that range.
We agreed to 244 or 500. It was, if we're talking about the same one, proposal 2018-208, Kathy and Fossum Middle School, it was for $244,500.
Was there a contingency on that one?
Yes.
Did we use
That
a
was a built-in-
contingency on that one?
It's currently under construction.
It still is, so we
Yes.
don't know. We may or may not
Exactly,
use it.
yeah.
But that's what the contingency built into it.
Right, right.
Right,
I
There was
just wanted
one-
to know if it was already done.
yeah.
Yeah, and the amount of switches and the amount of configurations for the different buildings, the layouts, there's different runs of conduit, cabling for the exterior buildings that Travis has compared to Kathy and Fossum. So but we'll look at those differences there
So it's a
No.
$150,000 difference?
on two schools.
2 schools to 2 schools, it's $150,000 more this time.
I don't have the number in front of me,
Well,
but
if
if
we
that's a
go
number.
with-
I mean, a spool of wire is a
244
spool of
to
wire. Yeah, yeah.
I guess did we change, and that's what I was trying to get to without disclosing a whole lot of information. Did we change the parameters from 2 years ago on our systems, either software, cabling, hard drives, the cameras themselves, and how they're being installed and where they're being installed and the number? And if so, that may explain some, but it still seems high, given, I tend to agree with Trustee Alicea. I mean, for the most part, unless you get the state-of-the-art, technology is coming down, So you mentioned that it was considerably different
From 2 years ago,
from
yes.
2 years ago.
Yes.
In Fossum, how different is it from the other 2 middle schools that we did, that it's about $140,000 different? Is that significant in the upgrade at this point, if that's what we're doing, upgrading?
We need to go back and look, but there is some difference because of the campuses and the size and the age and the amount of technology going in as far as switches. But technology would be the one to give us that, that difference.
Me, my concern, I don't know where we're going to meet again, but my concern is we continue to, this is part of our security upgrades throughout the district. I don't know how to ask this question without disclosing a whole lot, so I'm not going to ask. I'll ask it afterwards to the superintendent, because I'm real concerned that if we pass on this, it puts, well, maybe let me ask this. If we were to, when would be the drop date that you need to have this done in order to be ready for when the students return to the campus? That if these questions cannot be to our satisfaction to address it and act on this today, when would be the latest we must act with the information coming back to us?
I think we're at risk now of not
Already
having,
there.
yes, we're already there, which is one of the reasons why we put it in this agenda item. What I will say on the Kathy and Fossum is that the number one that we received was 244. The number 2 was 329, and the number 3 was 389. And I will say that we were surprised with the 244. I don't know if it's, I don't know how it's going to pan out. This is the first project that we've had at that price point. We'll see how it pans out. But I will say that of the 6 folks that bid for that project, the third one was 389. None of those 6 bid on this project for Travis and for Brown. So we're sort of at the mercy of the vendors who are bidding. Those folks there were not interested in bidding or were not able or for whatever reason did not bid.
Actually, one of them did, Superior Alarms.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
right.
Superior. I don't have them on this list.
They were number 5 on the list you're talking about, and they're number 2 on this.
Oh, you're right, sorry. It says Alan Yoder. So that's Superior Alarms. So when we look at Superior Alarms, they pretty much bid in line, right? So last time with Kathy, if we use them as sort of a benchmarking point, with Kathy and Fossum, they bid 456. And on this project, they bid 439. So they did come down on this one, but it still wasn't low enough for the other 2 that beat them out. But, so they were the only one in common. And at this point, without those other vendors bidding at that point, we could choose to table it at the risk of, this is the second try we've given Travis to try and get some
Can you
cameras.
elaborate on the scope of, are they the same, or, because I would imagine they're different, because Fossum seems to be a little bit smaller campus compared to Travis. So was the scope the same?
The scope of work is the same.
Okay, same amount of cameras and all that, but I
The
would think,
number of cameras may vary, depending, like I said, because of the configuration.
I would think
of the
Travis would need a little bit more, because it's spread out a little bit more, right?
Yes.
But, I mean, so we don't have that comparison either in front of you?
Not-
You just have the pricing?
Not with a.
Ruben, are they exactly the same cameras? Or I guess it's kind of like what Trustee Sam was saying, is did we upgrade? I mean, is the spec different? Between 2 years ago and now?
Between 2 years ago and now, yes.
Okay, so, and I give this analogy, I went to Sam's the other day, and they had a 55-inch TV for $375. But they also have a new version of that TV, and it's $2,000. So as more technology is put into electronics, that price is more expensive. The old products, the old electronics, definitely the price comes down because the technology, the technology and the things that they have is different. Now, for me, a TV is a TV, right? I mean, but a camera is very different. And I'm not trying to justify, but I'm trying to tell you, I think there's a lot of logic to what Trustee Alizeta is saying, is that the price of electronics has come down, but the price of new technology is not gone down. The latest is high, and that's just the way it's always going to be, so.
Yeah, in fact, we just did the phones, iPhones, and the latest, I was wanting to get an older version, but my wife said, no, we're all getting the latest, and it was considerably more than if I had, gone with a 7 instead of the XR, because it's the latest. And so it's true in the latest, if it's the current, that would be a case, until a year passes or so, and then now something newer comes in.
I just have a follow-up, I'm sorry.
And that may be that's what I'm trying to get at. Is that what we've done here? Is that what you're saying? We've changed the configurations on this technology to be the latest, and therefore you're paying the latest price for the most current
From 2
technology.
years ago, yes. Because now these systems are now all IP systems.
But to that end, not to interrupt, but I mean, a camera is a camera, and how you can read it is how you can read it. I mean, if you have a high-end camera that can do all these things, but how you can read it still stays this way, it's useless. So, I mean, if we haven't changed the component and we're going high-end on this, there's no reason to go high-end on that when this can only read it at this level. So.
But you can't put a high-end camera, like, we can't put a spec for a high-end camera if we can't read it. And that's why it's more expensive, because now we have the device that can read it.
Mr.
Well, if we can't read the camera from 2 years ago, though, what I'm saying is, I'll drop it. We can vote on it.
Just one follow-up question. You mentioned that the last vendor at 244 didn't bid. Had they previously worked with us in the past? Is that in that
No.
particular? Had they worked with any other school districts?
They work with other school districts. We did check their references, and that's what we reported on when we brought that agenda item.
Are we almost done with their work, or we're still?
They're currently working on, hopefully to be completed by school.
But they didn't bid on this particular project. Were they invited to bid?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there, within TASB or through buy board, is there a way that we could tap in and therefore we get a very consistent approach to this technology moving forward? Is that another way, or did you explore that and just said it wasn't quite meeting to our specifications? If they even have the capability of doing something what we're trying to do, which is getting us way ahead of the curve to have the most secure apparatus we can possibly have.
Sometimes pricing would be more competitive on a project of this, with this scope, versus other projects that we go through a purchasing cooperative.
So there is a possibility of a purchasing cooperative instead?
You can certainly look at that.
Yes, possibly. I don't know that these prices are a factor of the technology per se. The Cathy and Fossum project was in line with the Brown and Travis project in terms of the technology. But I think some of the factors that happen is that, during the summer, labor could be a factor, right? So timing also plays into what their bids are going to be, because there's the cost of the equipment. That's sort of hopefully a fixed fee across all of these, although there are some vendor markups perhaps. But really, another driving factor is the labor component. So it could be a timing issue that vendors who in the past bid 244 or 456 are now bidding 439. It's very difficult to tell in a bid why they are bidding, why Superior bid 459 before, and now they're bidding 439. It's also difficult to know why Innova would have decided not to bid. Their 244 was very competitive. Were we wanting them to have a very competitive number like that? Yes, absolutely. And in fact, we were hoping that was going to be the case, because then we would realize some savings in the projections that we had. But unfortunately, we're at the mercy of the ones that came in, and these are the prices that came in. I don't think it's a driver of the technology. That's similar in the two scopes of work.
It could be the fact that a lot of school districts may be upgrading, or other companies, businesses, whatever, during the summer months.
Right.
And so now we're competing with that as well.
Right.
That's fair.
Just a quick question, if I may. Have we changed our bid scoring sheet? Or is this the same one we used in the last bid?
It's the same one that's been used from.
We haven't changed them? Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any other discussion?
Just a quick comment. I think Cathy and Fossum may have come in so much cheaper because they're so newer as compared to the two schools that we're discussing. And I think that made the labor of running the cable, of setting up the cameras, getting everything done. I think Travis is a little bit bigger than Fossum as it being spread out. So that may be an example there. And at the end of the day, are these cameras, I don't think they're the same. The other cameras, if you look back there where we've got that stationary camera, these cameras maybe tilt, pan, and zoom, where whoever's operating it can tilt it to the right direction, pan out, zoom in, and give us a safer option. So, there's some factors there that we need to consider, but I think, the price seems fairly fair for two of the older schools that we're going to rewire and set up with IP cameras.
With that being said, we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1. It is now 12:42. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we got a 6-0. All right. If y'all can stick around for about 10 seconds.
10.